Good morning. This is the 53rd video in the series, The State of the School. And I'm dealing with my travels. Uh, enough said on that. I have more to go because after not 17 years, like I said, after almost almost 20 years, I traveled again, and I talked about that. Now, my apologies about the light coming on. I just screw and unscrew light bulbs. That's my switch here, and I didn't screw it enough, so it came on midway. No big deal. Another thing I wanted to say about looking back at that Venezuela, that time in Venezuela on Margarita, that island. I kept a journal while we were there. We were only there for about half a year. And as I say, it was in some ways a disaster. It just didn't work out. But I kept a journal, not like this journal from hitchhiking, but I noted down things that I saw, especially architectural things. And I do have it. It's back there on the shelf somewhere. I found it. I haven't looked back at it much. I don't really think it's of that much importance. But instead of going on to the next whole series of trips that I took with students, which I'm going to probably deal with as a big lump. I want to mention this again. Remember this? This is the book I carried in my back pocket while I was hitchhiking across the U.S. back in 1967, I think it was, or 66 it was. Yeah. I've been reading some of it. I'll probably read it all. I've dog-eared the page. That's how far I am. And when I read through, wait, I wanted to correct something too. I didn't climb Mount McKinley. That was wrong. It was Mount Whitney. McKinley, I think, is in Alaska or something. I'm not sure. It was Mount Whitney, which I think is the highest mountain possibly in the lower 48. Maybe, I don't know. And I read through the part where I did that, and it deserves comment. If time were of no essence, I would read that section to you. What a foolish thing to do. I understand why I did it, because I was with a man who, it was his idea, and I'd been riding with them all the way across the continent with him and his wife. He was 33, Stephen Swenson, father or older brother of Eric, and he was going to do this. And I thought, well, why not? I was, I think, 20 years old, maybe, or 19 years old at the time. I was pretty fit. And why not? Well, it was crazy. And I describe it in detail here. The crazy part about it was really only altitude sickness, but it was described detail by detail. It was more agonizing than I remember. I like kind of blow it off. Within 24 hours, we had gone from sea level, swimming in the Pacific, to, I think it was 8,000 feet. That's where we slept the night. And now that we'd driven the car up that far, 8,000 something feet, and I didn't sleep well. I had not come prepared to be climbing a mountain. And I was cold. I hardly slept, and it had only been a couple days before that I'd been feverish when I was in Tucson. But I think that had passed. It was mostly I hadn't slept well, hadn't eaten well. We got up before dawn. It's a 21-mile round trip, the hike from there up to about 14,000 feet and back to 8,000 something feet. 21 miles. Now, I didn't make it. I only made 19 because that last mile, which was going to be across a level, I'd made it all the way up to a saddle, and from there out it was just level walking almost to the top. But I was in such bad shape that I was thinking I might just possibly die. I considered just rolling off the cliff because I felt that bad, and it was so hopeless that I would be able to get off there. I was that cold. I describe it in more detail than I remember, and I understand why I didn't go back and read that very often, because it was such a horrible experience. Now I recovered. I mean, I crawled for a while until I could walk, and then I could walk for a while I'd doze off now and then, and and by the time I got back down to even 12,000 feet, I was feeling pretty good. And by the time I got down to 8,000 feet, I could run. I mean, I was fine then. So it came and it went fast. But what a stupid thing to do, in retrospect anyway. But I survived. And you know, I was thinking about the fact that my wife and son have different times told me that they thought I was the luckiest man alive because of so many times that I simply could have been killed or something, and somehow I wasn't. Yeah, it could be. I've been lucky a lot, I'll admit, and yet I'm living on a farm every day. I go out there and I continue to do dangerous stuff. But anyway, I thought that I shouldn't just blow that off. I should mention that event happened. Bye for now.